Спасибо. Итак,
Thank you very much. So we start the first section.
перспективам
We'll
развития.
be talking about the SOC development prospects and how they use latest technologies. We call it the present and the future of the SOCs. Today, we'll have experts sharing their experience. They are from
Яндекс.Клауд.
the Yandex Cloud SOC. This includes Igor, Yuri, and Vladislav. Dmitry comes from the SOC of T-Bank, and we also have with us Irina from the Positive Technologies Analyst team.
С первым.
Irina will be the first speaker. Irina, the floor is yours.
Всем привет.
Hello, everyone.
Тема моего доклада первая. Я, во-первых, очень рада здесь.
Okay, number one, it's my great pleasure to be here, to be the opening speaker. You know, I have this déjà vu feeling because last year I was also the first speaker in this track,
В прошлом году
and last year I was more focused on the classical issues of the SOC, and I kind of talked about what an autonomous SOC might look like.
я бы хотела немного
And today I'd like to go deeper into this, and because many things have changed, and I'd like to share with you some great things we have. Something has found its way in the commercial products.
я бы хотела
And closer to the end of my presentation, I'll try to talk about this autonomous
как раз за год
kind of driverless SOCs.
произойдет.
so
Вот сегодня я как раз
I took some time to
с вами этим поделюсь.
develop my forecasts, so I'll try to share this
Там так.
with you. Okay, here is the clicker.
Меня зовут Ирина Зинова.
My name is Irina Zinovkina. I head of research in positive technologies. This includes
Все
all
будут у нас, ну, не в описании,
our
поэтому бесплатно, без
well,
регистрации СМС.
published research papers. So this is all available in Russian and English, sometimes in Spanish and Portuguese. So please do follow these links to have a look at our research.
Можно было бы сказать, что
Okay,
с прошлого года, вот год прошел, ну, как бы так сказать, что много
the elapsed year. Well, it has been long,
текло, конечно,
but
наработок
to a large extent, we can see many things happening, and they are being integrated in smart ways. And I think that today I'll try to kind of shed some light on this and kind of discuss the things which are available now and which are coming.
В целом,
Okay.
конечно, хотелось бы,
Overall,
я аналитик,
I'm an analyst,
начать свою презентацию.
so I should start with the numbers. Otherwise, it's like mauvais ton if you don't start with some numbers.
Мы подвели итоги того, что
Okay,
наши коллеги
so here are the results
центра проводили
of the investigations our colleagues in the Expert Center
вообще, что
run in 2023 and 2024. We looked at some time metrics, and this gives us an overall assessment. So the overall incident length is 23 days. So we understand that we are talking about averages. The longest one was 3 years, and the shortest was 1 day. So in between, we got something like 23 days.
про остальные метрики я
While the other
дальше. Конечно, нам
indicators will be further developed later. Okay, time to respond and time to detect. The TTR and TTD, they are really important metrics for us. We can draw some important conclusions. So we can see that the TTR
расследований как раз
for about 40% of the
и были кейсы,
investigations took 2 to 7 days, and in some cases it was longer than 2 months. If you look at the time to detect, then we see that a quarter of investigations well had this kind of gap or this range. Well, this might be bad news or good news. Well, it means at least that I can speak a lot about this. Okay, looking at the dynamics versus last year. So last year is the top, and I just copied it from my previous presentation to have a look at the dynamics. So we can see that the overall duration
если учесть,
of incidents or number of those longer than 1 year incidents has grown. So we understand that the share and the overall number has increased.
Собственно говоря, смотря на все это, мы понимаем, что
Well, looking at all of this stuff, we understand that the traditional SOC, the way it is, cannot be that effective anymore. We have some global and minor issues, but overall, I'd like to say that the issue is in our dead zones, or kind of white spots. So we need to integrate the connectors and telemetry, and we should also streamline cooperation between different departments or teams so that they exchange data. And the problem is that these tools overall are not really well integrated. Okay, these driverless SOCs, they should have some kind of important characteristics. I will dwell on them later. The most important things I'd like to mention here include AI. So we cannot go further without AI. By the way, I didn't have this initially in my presentation, but having listened to what my colleagues are going to talk about and having read information on these people, I understood that I should mention AI. Quite recently, we published some research on this. Hello, Roma.
Да, поэтому и Рома с коллегами проводил вебинар на эту тему.
Roma and his colleagues had a webinar on this, so we have enough expertise on this. So I'll share with you some things we have considered. Well, AI in cybersecurity is being introduced. So it's going through its early kind of time. So if you don't say that you have AI powered, you are not that trendy anymore. So we use AI for cybersecurity overall, but there are some caveats here. Well, it does automate some routine tasks. It reduces comparatively the time to investigate and time to respond. It helps us find new types of threats. But overall, this all depends on the types of solutions it's integrated in. So AI is being used now, and it is going to be used in the future for every stage of your security kind of process. And we believe it can be like an assistant, a good assistant. Well, the future for AI, it's important to highlight a number of trends here. I think that my colleagues will mention some of them. Well, I know what they're going to talk about in brief. So we'll talk about the multi-agent systems. This is the mainstream in the field of AI. Also the cyber test range, or cyber polygon as we call it, and digital twins and digital twins attacks. Well, this is a trend in many fields. So if you want to listen to a presentation about this, please come to the Lomonosov Arena tomorrow at 10. My colleagues and I will be focusing on this. And also we can use it to model baits. Well, like in any other case, AI has issues which are not going anywhere in the near future, and they kind of drag behind the driverless nature. So, number one, computing power and teaching data. This is not only our problem, it's also a problem for the attackers. They are trying to use AI in their tasks. Well, but it's really important to find the things for teaching the systems. So if we talk about driverless or autopilot systems, it means that we should give our complete trust to AI. Computing power is in great demand. We have a shortage of experts, and I think that colleagues can share this with us, that well, there are some issues with these experts, but we understand that we have a shortage of cybersecurity experts. But to have someone who is both a developer and InfoSec expert, well, this would be a unique guy. Well, AI is often attacked per se, and this is an issue in terms of further development. We have some research from one of my colleagues who looked at the Mitra Defend. They're using AI there, and about in 1/3 of the techniques they use it, and in the other third it will be further developed. They are going through the book stages and lab tests and so on. So if you look at the Mitra attack matrix, the situation is like 1-to-1 in terms of attack versus defend. So if you look at the techniques for attack, so we think that the numbers are more or less the same. So they have an equal score, so to say, the attackers and the defenders. Okay. Let's talk about the driverless SOC features. So when you introduce the ECM and the CMs and other systems, you see an issue of integrating various connectors because you have to code connectors manually. This is a problem when you have a large infrastructures. Many vendors are now going through this automation process for the rules, but there are two problems here. We need enough data to find, and the other problem is data conversion into the type which would be okay for the SAM system. This is not a trivial task. Well, this can be resolved by analyzing some modules and which would take data and further transfer this to the CM. So we have this module. This is a commercial product. So in terms of characteristics, we are moving ahead. And another important thing is ATL. So without a well-developed ATL, we're not going to have this fullness and structure and speed we need. And the largest vendors who are dealing with CMs and SOCs, they have good bodies of work and experience, so they can connect data and they can transfer data to the CMs really quickly. They have SLAs like 99.99s, and this concept is being introduced quite actively, and it's great that the vendor is developing this. The second thing to mention, the false positives and some alternative events. So we should understand that so we are talking about living as a lamp. So the wrongdoers try to imitate the legitimate users' behavior. And if you look at some research from our colleagues internationally, they often say that the 80% of the alerts are false positive. So this is garbage, which stands in the way of the analysts in their function to properly respond to the incidents. So we have several concepts. They have been introduced and they are being used quite actively. Then this includes the automated white listings, when the third and fourth and so on false alert goes to the false positive folder by default. This is done sometimes through the EDR fixing, so that the data, right data goes to the CM. But the correlation rules are really important. We cannot do without them, and our international vendors are usually now considering the correlation rules to see the probability of false positives for them. And they use some AI modules there to assess this properly. And there, the vendors say that it works really nicely. We have a standalone concept here, the algorithms for the data enrichment through considering causal connections between various events, and some Russian vendors are now using this quite actively. Okay, let's talk about introducing behavioral analysis or analytics. I think this is a well-known field, so people have been using this for a long time, I would say, but now we understand that we cannot do any driverless things without behavioral analytics, but focusing on the analysis and some other features I'm going to mention. I would say that there are two core trends which kind of pierce through all my speech and overall the vendors' development. Number one is building graphs wherever you can. We're talking about selecting the right events and getting rid of the garbage, there they have a trend of building graphs and removing this noise-related branches. And behavioral analysis, it can be even cooler. And the second interesting thing is federation learning. It is not yet used now in commercial products, but many vendors go this way. And so that we increase, so we use this federated learning to increase the trust in our AI solutions. Okay, we understand that sometimes we need to solve problems to find more information from our platforms. We look for information from external sources. So we're not only talking about internal expertise here. So I think it's a global issue. And here we have some experience. We have some automated mechanisms to enrich any event we are scanning. We have information about processes, because sometimes one parent process is not enough. And overall, I'd like to say that many vendors try to make highly relevant search applications using AI, so that the AI, the omnipowerful AI, should enrich our data as much as possible to let the analyst take the right decisions. Building the chain, the kill chain analytics. So all those chains are built in many products. So this is nice to talk about in terms of marketing, because, well, this is quite reliable, and it's a prerequisite of an effective response system. So we develop the kill chains in many products, and this includes some Russian vendors and for international vendors who have these commercial products. So we would say that this is one of the kind of closest things in terms of the kind of target condition we want to have sometime down the road. And apart from the kill chain, they also built the graphs, dynamic graph of attacks, but there are really few solutions like that. Just a handful of these features are now being developed. Okay, to reproduce the kill chain, we should understand the infrastructure. And if we talk about driverless system, this should be a dynamic asset map, which would rebuild based on the things happening in the network. And it depends. And I would say that, well, I don't think that we can see some cool solutions like that, of this dynamic assets map. But if you use SAMs, if you use vulnerability managers, so you can try to do this, because overall, well, you cannot do without graph and without the infrastructure if you want to understand your threats properly. So I would say that threats modeling and the graph well, of our activity, it would be the fundamental building block for our driverless SOCs in the future. So it would be nice to have something building the graph of the infrastructure, superimposing the attack model, and then everything will be like an open book for us. And, well, modeling kind of threats like that, not on paper, but rather modeling threats based on the importance of the assets and how things are developing. So things like that are now available on the market. And this is really cool. Again, I'd like to mention graph. I really like this word. Yeah, AI, behavioral analytics, and graphs. They are my buzzwords today. Okay, active attack management and generation of response scenarios. I'd like to say that the playbooks we have now are cool, but if we are dynamic, if we have a graph, if we have a threats model, and we know where the attack is going, and we can see and forecast the next steps, it means that the playbook in the driver driverless SOC should also rebuild based on what is happening in the incident. In the kind of standard SOC, we look for alerts, analyze stuff, and respond. But in the driverless SOC, which is going to come sooner or later, the system should draw the attack map and decide what to block and how. And well, we have some experience there, and for now we use EDRs for this, so that they block some infected hosts and disrupt activities. So I think now we are talking about some cool things we have in some other fields. So this active attack management will give us some new matrices to measure the performance of the driverless SOCs, and the new, well, I think I mentioned this new kind of matrices before. So, well, some of them will become obsolete, but they'll be replaced by the new ones. Okay, built-in expertise. Well, it's not about marketing, which I love, but I do face it from time to time. We understand that built-in expertise is now mentioned by all the vendors when they talk about SIEMs and SOCs. So I'd like to say that in the driverless SOC concept, expertise should be reinforced, and it shouldn't be just your internal expertise. There should be a ready third-party expertise, because, well, similarly, it will be quite difficult to deal with your in-house expertise alone when you deal with driverless systems. One more thing to mention: in some new generation SIEMs, detects are coded using some tools supporting the detection as a code concept, and this is really cool. You might compare it with storing everything in the repository, and we have the codes, and everything works well. It's taken off, and many people believe that this concept will find its way in the driverless SOC just a few years down the road. Auto-response. This is the big feature for driverless. So this would be a second opinion. We don't expect some other people or things to respond instead of us. We think that the models and systems will give us a hint, will kind of give us some advice. We'll need to double-check all of that. It should be well automated. And we have some autonomous analysts. This is software automating line 2, and when they plan investigations, they put forward a hypothesis, they gather the context, and all of this is generated as a report shared with an analyst who will kind of double-check. And there are at least 2 solutions like that. They're both commercial, they're different in terms of concept, but they are being used quite actively. That's why we believe that they will also make it to the driverless SOC. So we have solutions like that now, and they're being used in large corporations, among other things. Okay, what is in store for us? We are really interested in this. A driverless SOC is all about thinking about the big and great things, the brave new world. But, well, the key attendants will have deep integration of LLMs into the SOC. I think it's stage 2, or 1 even, of integration. So, you know, the driverless cars, and the overall concept of the driverless cars, it goes through 5 levels of driverlessness. So we start with manual things we do in the car, and all the way to a driverless car, which will do it on its own. So there are several levels in this development process, and I think that now with the SOCs we are somewhere in between. We have some automated processes, but it's far from the kind of destination now. So we are kind of observing some cloud SOCs, and there'll be some pay-per-use models, and I believe that that's going to happen. When? That's the question. Well, I believe that the real kind of use will start not sooner than 2030. I gave it some thought, and I believe that it will be just the first implementations of this. There are many products like that saying that they are smart and cool and autonomous and so on. But to make it really work in this driverless concept, I think it will take some time. And I don't think it's going to happen sooner than 2030. And we believe it will become a big real use thing somewhere in 2035. So if this section is here in 2035, well, I have things to do in my professional career. Okay, what are the barriers to all of this? So we have some technological factors. This includes the AI. I understand that it's not good enough to take decisions on its own. Nothing is trust and verification, because we should be absolutely confident that the things are done right. Then liability, who is going to be liable for some mistaken actions performed by the driverless SOC? Economics, this is also important, because the return on investment of the automation we have is quite high, but to go all the way to complete driverless solutions, well, we'll have to invest quite a lot in R&D, and the big vendors are not going to do it. And that's why it's developing in this stage-wise manner. So we don't expect some breakthrough solutions like here you have a SOC which will do it on its own. And another important thing is that most of the development we see in the large corporations and overall, there would be proprietary solutions primarily. And we understand that innovations there are not quick. So we understand that many vendors have quite long-time solutions, and sometimes you need to recode the whole thing from zero, so this might be problematic. And so I give them, say, 10 years. Okay, 5 to begin with, and I think that in about 10 years, this is going to be really driverless. Well, I don't know. I don't know whether any cool vendors will follow my kind of orders, but I think that's about the way it is going to happen. Okay, what will the humans do? So when we talk about driverless, so we have humans to be the boss of AI. They will develop the strategy, they will control, they will manage, and maybe twist and tweak things. And if we see some unconventional tasks the AI is not ready for, is not taught to deal with, then we'll also need a human being. So these are the non-phishing QR codes we can use to have a look at our research. And you are also welcome to the Positive Technologies website, and you can read our research there, including that on driverless SOCs. And I think we have a new piece to join the team soon. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you very much for coming. We have full theater at 10 o'clock. This is quite impressive. Thank you for this. Thank you, Irina. By the way, we have an important thing to mention. Please be engaged and ask questions. The speakers will give you presents, books provided by Peter, publishing house. So these are books on cybersecurity. So please do ask questions to earn these rewards. Okay, we have a question. We have a mic. Here you are. Thank you. My name is Konstantin Sizov, Systems Integrator. Okay, let's describe a situation for you. There are many companies. Well, everybody needs security. Everybody needs SOCs, including the small companies, say 50-plus assets. They want to know what's going on. And considering the issue we have with the staff, we understand that there is a need, but it's not satisfied yet. Okay, do you think that driverless SOCs I mean, the large SOCs where they have a lot of manual kind of input, they'll be automated? Or do you think that we are kind of there to see, or will be there to see small SOCs to help small companies in this driverless way? Yeah, I think we'll have them. I believe it could be a service model. When you provide services and cloud SOCs, when you don't need your own infrastructure, so everything will be in the cloud. Yeah, and I think that small companies will be there. Well, the big ones will try and make all the mistakes, and they will be like a testing range for their vendors. And I believe the medium and small business will get this. I represent a vendor, so I can tell you that companies are really interested in providing security for the medium and small businesses. It's cool to help the big ones, but the small ones should be also supported. My name is Artem Krynin. I'm from Bizon. I'd like to add a few things. You will not be awarded with a book for this. Yeah, I understand. Well, that's what we are considering now. I understand that this driverless nature will be really important for the small companies because they don't have enough money for full-fledged cybersecurity. They need a box to do everything for them, to take all the decisions instead of them. And secondly, I believe that when we introduce this autonomous SOCs, we'll need some profiling stage to satisfy the infrastructure and the business tasks where you are introducing this. And here we have a big gap. I mean, for those who are dealing with it, how to profile the infrastructure, how to understand what is okay and what is not okay for this infrastructure. Or it can work the other way around. Maybe it's already compromised. So to find this subtleties. And I believe for this stage, we'll need human input for deployment and for fine-tuning of the driverless SOC. Okay, thank you. Thank you, colleagues. Any other questions, please?
Коллеги, вот там есть вопрос.
Well, colleagues, we have a question there.
Нашим зрителям возможность.
Let's give our audience a chance. My name is Andrei Narchuk, also from the Systems Integrator Company. And I'd like to hear your opinion in terms of autonomous SOCs. Well, I think it might be a problem for the security of the SOC. So we understand we have this data enrichment, we have learning and so on. And the development process overall, so we'll build graphs and so on, and this might be a target for an attack. Sure, absolutely. Just like any technology brings something great and some threats, and any protection tool is also subject to attack. And we understand that AI is not too reliable, to put it mildly. And we have an AI section talking about attacks against AI. Well, I absolutely agree with you, but I believe there are vendors who have failed repeatedly, and they're now developing good protection or security tools to make their solutions so that you don't poison data, you don't kind of interfere with the graph building process. Well, sure, attacks like that might happen, and threat actors will sure go there, and you cannot have a 100% security system anyway. Thank you very much. Let's have our final question. Hello, Leningrad Electric Technical University, Alexei Nevsky. You have described the playbook of the driverless SOCs project. I'd like to hear what Fortinet, Cisco, IBM, Palo Alto, the market leaders, what are they doing there? Are you competing with them or collaborating with them? Well, collaborating with international companies, well, I wouldn't comment too much on this. I don't know overall is positive dealing with them or not, but I don't think that our overall relationship is too good now. I don't think we are sharing too much now. Palo Alto, they have a system. They call it XIEM.
Тяжело выговорить, который как раз CM плюс R.
So this is AI plus CM. So many vendors who are now kind of offering these driverless things, so they have CM plus OR quite often. That's what they mean by this. And another leader, apart from positive technologies here, would be Splunk. Splunk also offered quite a lot of solutions, and all the features I have mentioned are developed by Splunk here and there. So they're also a leader. Okay, we have another question from another colleague over there. Thank you. Thank you for your speech. I have a question on data. So we talk about clouds, we talk about agents and small companies. And talking about data, the data used by AI for learning and so on. We understand that every company will have its own experience. So talking the data used for teaching AI, I think this is kind of a gray zone. Do you think that the attitude to the data, to the corporate data, will somehow change so that you use the data for teaching AI and other things? Could you wave your hand so that I can see you? Okay, thank you. Glad, because, you know, they are blinding me with their lights. Yeah, sure. The zone is really gray, but the federated learning concept people are talking about, so they are kind of coming to terms how to anonymize all that so that you exchange it, you exchange data coming from different companies so that you cannot discern which company is mentioned. Well, I think it's the only way to make it take off. If they don't exchange data, this is not going to work, so they should collaborate. But now it's not there. I think it is going to be there by 2030. Okay, thank you.